Warning. The following podcast contains discussion of diets and exercising that may be triggering for some viewers.
Well, hello, Miss Ebony Saunders. Welcome to the Power to Move podcast, and we're celebrating you and your 4 years with Power to Move.
I can't believe it's been 4 years
I
already.
know.
It's just gone by in a flash.
It's even weird just like saying it compared to, where we've been over the last 4 years, from training in parks
to actually having a proper gym space.
And now a podcast. I mean, it's
Leaps and bounds.
It's amazing. But I want to start with, tell me about when you were a kid. Were you an active child? What was your childhood like?
I was definitely an active child. I played netball. My family was involved in baseball, so it was always baseball on the weekend, netball, running around with other kids. I would consider myself a pretty active child. I did dance as well, so always keeping active. And I've got a younger brother, so we're always out in the backyard playing, getting outdoors, and we had a beautiful park across the road from us, so we would go out there and just spend hours playing and being outdoors, not too much inside time, really.
Yeah, nice. And one of the things that I suppose I come across a lot as a trainer is people, in particular kids, and some as young as like 5 or 6 years old, that have body image issues or body dysmorphia or eating disorders. Did you have any of that when you were a teen, or was that around you? Like, what was your sort of like feeling about that sort of stuff if you were so active as well?
I think as I got into my teenage years, I definitely became a lot less active. I didn't continue. I reckon I got to about 12, and that's when I stopped doing netball. I stopped doing dance. And I would say that's when I started probably having body image issues. I think for a lot of young girls, it's a very common thing to look at those around you and go, oh, well, why don't I look like that? And I was always a lot taller than most girls of my age. I'm quite tall as it is. So, like, why am I so much taller? Why am I so much bigger? Like, my family are quite well built. So, it's always like, oh, why don't I look like other girls? And, the images that are portrayed in the media, even in kids' magazines. Like, I used to get like the girls' magazine or whatever, and being like, oh, well, why don't I look like them? Or why don't I look like who's on TV? And through my teenage years, it was probably most prevalent. I went on some crazy eating kicks and exercise plans to try and, fit whatever this ideal body
is meant to be. Yeah. And tell me like about that. So what was once you started to like not do the netball and the exercise, and it's actually quite common, a lot of girls in particular, as they get into like year 8, year 9, and definitely later on in school years, they're not doing any physical activity whatsoever. So you're not, that's not uncommon. But after that, when you were sort of out of school, what was your personal journey in regards to diets, going to the gym, crash diet? What was, what happened?
Oh, I reckon I've tried every freaking diet under the sun. Eating for your blood type, eating for your height or BMI, or like all the stupid diets that there are. I tried everything. I remember one point in my teen years, there was that like infomercial exercise program, like it was called Insanity.
Dig deeper. Come on, get it and go. Don't give up. Get out of here, get in here. Come on, go, push.
And it was like this online program in America, and it was all like high intensity interval training. And I like downloaded this version of it, and it was insane. And I would have been like 14 or 15 doing these like insane, like it was called Insanity. They were these crazy workouts. We don't even do stuff like that in your HIIT classes.
Yeah, right. I'm intrigued. I'm gonna have to Google that. Insanity.
And it was just like, because I wasn't happy with how I looked, and I was like, well, this is gonna work. Clearly all the people in this video, they're ripped, they look amazing, they're all adults and I'm a teenager, but you know, that didn't like click in my brain. But I was so focused on trying to achieve something and thought that trying everything under the sun was going to help, and looking in the mirror and not liking the way that I looked because I just didn't fit
whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever you're meant to look like. And I had some friends as well that got me into exercising more, and it was a nice outlet because I started becoming more active in a way. You know, it wasn't like doing a sport or anything, but at least I was moving. We'd often go on walks. I have a really close friend, Rhiannon, her and I every night religiously would at least walk 4Ks around our sort of local area. It was our way of catching up, especially once we got out of high school and we weren't, you know, we were at uni, we weren't, you know, in that school environment. It was our way to catch up and to socialize, and still, rather than sitting on the couch and eating a packet of chips or something like that or watching a movie, we'd go out and walk. So that was nice and helped us to be a little bit more fit. But I think the both of us were like, oh, well, we're doing this because we're still trying to be a certain way or look a certain way, and it wasn't necessarily for enjoyment or because we wanted to be fit and healthy. It was because we wanted to look
a certain way,
and I think that was always the motivator. And what really, my mindset has changed so much since, you know, being with you and that journey, is it became less about I want to look like this imaginary ideal body shape, and more about, okay, well, what can my body actually do? How strong can I be? What is my health like? Rather than fixating on a size on the scales or fitting into a certain thing.
So that sort of segues really well into, like, how did we meet? Like, I know how we met. How did we, because it's not, like, we didn't have a gym.
No.
So it's a very, it was quite an unlikely meeting, really.
Definitely unlikely. So I was doing a model training camp with Tanya Power Model Agency, and it was just like this 6-week program, and each week we had someone different come in and teach us something. And yours was obviously health and well-being, and you had us do like some stretches and had us do like a few little exercises and just talked about health and nutrition. And it was not at all what I expected to come out of a modeling session for the trainer to be like, you know, you don't have to be a size 0 to be a model. We can talk about your health and your fitness. And I think that really resonated with me because I'd had trainers in the past that did jack all and were just like, here, I'm going to write you a program and you just go to your gym and you do it. Like, I didn't even have the trainer there with me to show me what to do. And meeting you was so different. You were like, yeah, we can actually, you know, I'm going to be there with you. We can write something that's personalized to you. It's not just, you know, throw you into whatever. Yeah, and not understanding what my actual abilities were at that time. And that's, I approached him and was like, hey, do you happen to do like a personal training? And you're like, yeah, sure. So we started out in parks, like just, you know, meeting up wherever we could that worked for both of us. And, you know, I was working out at Marion at the time. So it was quite the journey for us to meet and find somewhere in the centre together. But it was good. I think it was definitely at the right time because I was thinking about, you know, being in this modelling camp. I was like, oh my God, you know, that's where you question your body image the most. And, you know, being part of that was really reassuring because, you know, there were women of all different sizes, all different ranges. But just having, you know, especially a fitness person come in and say, hey, you don't have to be this certain body image really resonated. And I was like, that's a person I want to spend more time with. I want to know what they've got to say and what they can teach me.
And it was polarizing. Like, you know, I lectured with that agency for well over 2 years. And it was a really, I mean, credit to the owner of the agency to be so open to coming in and going, it's not about dieting, it's not about restricting, it's actually about this total health and wellness. So I was really happy that I could talk passionately to people like yourself about something that I'm really passionate in, which is not, you know, size 0, but that bigger side. So it was great to have you, call me and
I need some help
and take those next steps. But like one of the things that I didn't expect from being a trainer, and you were one of, you know, from an adult point of view, one of my first clients that came on. I was dealing with kids predominantly before that, but I really didn't understand how invested I'd get in a student, and every student that I have. But that whole holistic point of view, work, life, the whole thing, and it's been awesome seeing you blossom and grow and change careers over the last 4 years. It's a real honor to be part of your life, and that you're still with me, you know, 3-4 times a day or week, coming to the gym. So what do you think has kept you here for 4 years? Like what's the difference, considering that you have had trainers and
I've been to gyms, like, you know, done your 24/7 gyms, done all of that. I think the personal touch and the way that you, for everyone, set individual goals. You work with, you know, one of my first goals was to do 6 push-ups. And I remember the day that we ended up doing like 60 push-ups in a session, and I just working it out and being like,
we were in tears.
I can't believe I just did that. Like, you know, and that was my first ever goal, and that was always what you started out with, being like, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve? You know, what is going to make you work hard and motivate you? And I think that was so different from anything I'd experienced, because my previous experiences with going to any kind of gym was no personal trainer, no trainer of any kind whatsoever, finding a video on my phone and going, okay, maybe if I do that, that's going to help me get something, maybe I'll get stronger, or I'll just walk on the treadmill for 45 minutes and hope that does something. I tried and find group fitness classes are my favorite thing. They motivated by other people, absolutely, and I used to do that at this gym that I would go to, but it was the kind of one that like every single class was the same thing over and over again. So, you know, by the end of, you know, they do it for a few weeks, you're like pro. I know the next move, in, out, upside down, and you kind of don't challenge yourself in those scenarios, where with you and your style, it's like, even though we have a HIIT class every week, no 2 classes are the same. You know, the energy is different, the playlist is different, it gets you motivated in a different way. You have different moves for us and different ways to challenge our bodies, and I'd never had that in a gym before. And then beyond that, also that approach of a whole view to it. It's not just like, okay, well, if we get you exercising, then that's going to solve all of the problems that you feel you have. It's like, no, well, can we look at your diet? What's going on with your mental health? Like, how are you in all the other aspects of your life? Because that's going to affect your body and how you feel and your, you know, your motivation. So just it is that holistic approach that you have that keeps me coming back, because I'm like, I can keep changing the goalposts. You know, once I smash one goal, we go, all right, sit down, reassess. What are we going to work on next? And I remember the time I came to you when we were setting new goals, and I was like, one of my goals was to do Mount Lofty, and I'd done that, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, like I feel like I've done Mount Lofty, I've done it in under an hour, and I didn't even acknowledge that was like an achievement. And you're like, you did Mount Lofty in under an hour. That's amazing. Like, why are we not celebrating this? And I was like, oh, well, I suppose it is. And, you know, you get a little bit focused on, okay, well, let's achieve the goal. And then when you do, I think sometimes I forget to actually give myself the props for being like, yes, you did that. And the acknowledgement sometimes of like, yes, you've done that, you know, not just letting it be like, oh, well, you know, oh, it's just Mount Lofty. Like,
and considering at the beginning, looking at Mount Lofty as a goal as well, like the first few times that we did it were they were struggle town. They were tough.
Mm-hmm.
And to get you to that point where, you know, you smash it in a really great time as well, sometimes feels a little bit like, well, of course, you know, I'm getting fitter. You forget that it's actually been a really big feat.
Yeah.
And you've, you know, worked up to that
perspective that when the first time I did it, I was like, I had to stop every, you know, few hundred meters.
Bag.
Exactly, because I had a stitch. Like, you know, to being able to smash it out in under an hour, like just having you there to like put a bit of perspective back on that, to go like, well, look where you came from and look where you are now. That's fantastic. Like you have worked so hard to achieve that, and actually acknowledging the hard work that I did put in to get to that goal. Like, yes, it deserves to be acknowledged.
So how do you start your day? Like, what do you do? What's your routine?
So I am definitely a morning person. Mornings are my jam. That's when I am most productive and get the most done. So I wake up quite early. I'm like 6 o'clock every morning. I'm up, I'm ready. First thing I do is get in the shower, get myself fresh, get ready to go. And if I'm working, then it is straight into like once I've showered, I put an outfit together, what I'm going to wear, lay everything out on my little rack with my accessories, shoes, all the bits and pieces. Then it's through makeup, hair, getting ready. And then for breakfast, I'll usually have my overnight oats, which I will prepare a whole batch of them, usually on a Sunday night, ready for my week.
I like that.
Yes. And I'll, depending on what fruit I have with it, I'll like chop my fruit up, put that in it. And then go to work, spend the day at work, and then more often than not, my nights I come to the gym. My favorite of my classes is definitely hit and step and the dance. I love the cardio classes. They're my jam. I get into the music, spice it up with some weights, and then go home, make dinner, depending on what we're having. Sometimes the partner will cook for me if he's home early enough, but we meal plan throughout, you know, the start of the week, so
like
that
boss who's been with me for 4 years.
meal planning. And then if I feel like it, I will treat myself to a bit of chocolate, usually a couple of squares or one of those little like fun size snack bars. Or if I'm being extra good, have extra self-control, just a cup of tea.
Nice. And what motivates you?
The gym, it used to be, I want to look a certain way, I want to be a certain way, but now it's, I want to be healthy, I want to be able to do, you know, go out for a walk on the beach and not get huffy and puffy after, you know, 5 minutes, or I want to go swimming, and I still want to like the way that I look, but I know that I'm not working towards, I have to look like something else. It's like, how good can I feel within myself? How strong can I make myself? Rather than, I want to be a certain weight, or I want to get down to something. It's like, because I think that fluctuates so often. You know, I feel like I'm in probably in a little bit of a lower spot than I usually like myself to be at the moment, but there's so many other things that have happened in my life.
Absolutely.
And I'm motivated to get back to where I was, because I felt really good then. I felt healthy, and I wasn't tired when I woke up.
It's not about the body image. It's
no.
about the feeling.
Yeah.
It's about the health.
Yeah, and just knowing that when I look at myself, I go, I don't feel as good because I know I haven't been treating my body as well as I should be. Not, I look at myself and, I'm fat and I'm ugly and I'm awful. Going and rethinking and reframing that, because those negative thoughts do not serve you, they do not get you anywhere. And it's like, I want to go back to feeling fantastic because I could wake up and my body didn't hurt, or I was stretching every day and I felt,
But remember,
good.
it's a state of mind.
It is.
It's changing that state of mind from that negative to positive.
Oh, it is.
So tell me something that people might not know about you, or, are surprised when they find out.
I think people are often very surprised when they find out that I can sew and I can make clothes. Like I say, yeah, I went to uni, I studied fashion. Like I could take a picture that I see on the internet and I could make it, you know, from start to finish.
That's a skill. That's
yeah, you know.
I'd like to be able to do that. I can't even sew a button.
Yeah.
So
and that's what people usually say. They're like, I could fix a hole in my socks or maybe sew a button on. I'm like, yeah. So that's probably something pretty surprising about me.
And you've made wedding dresses and
Yes.
all sorts of
Yeah.
crazy things.
Yeah.
Like you're
yeah.
talented. Like this is not like, you know, you can make
Yeah.
a skirt or a
Yeah.
t-shirt. This is like talent plus.
I've made these things.
You've made some cool things. We'll pop some videos of that sort of stuff up. So the other one is, if you could tell your 18-year-old self, or have a chat with her right now, like what would you say?
Ooh. I would tell her to keep going because where I was at 18, I was not happy with myself. I wasn't happy in a lot of aspects of my life, and I never felt like giving up or ever stopping, but I was not happy. And I was doing a lot of things that were very hurtful to myself. Yeah, I was not being kind to myself, and I think I would say to me now, like say to my younger little Ebony, just persevere, because where you are at 18 is not going to be who you are forever. And there are so many fantastic things to look forward to and so many great things to come in your life that at 18 you don't even know are a possibility.
And you're so young, there's so much
I know,
more.
and like
so much
there's
more to
you know,
life.
and just to tell myself not to beat myself up for enjoying life, because that's what I do now. I enjoy life and I get to eat what I like, you know, and live a lifestyle that affords me the opportunity to eat what I want to when I want to, within moderation. Like, you know, if I want to have a nice meal, if my partner and I want to go out, yes, I can do that. And I don't ever beat myself up or feel angry for it or guilty, because
you're giving yourself that permission to
I'm
indulge.
like, why would you beat yourself up for that? Like,
exactly.
I work hard to treat my body and to, you know, to be
feel good.
as healthy as I can. I deserve to have a good meal that tastes delicious if I want to.
So, just wrapping up, it has been so good chatting with you, Ebony. It's been an amazing 4 years. I've learned so much from you, and you've brought like all of your family to the gym and your friends as well, which is like, for me, that is such an honor, because it's word of mouth. You know, we haven't done anything in regards to marketing for the business. So having you tell your friends and family and then having them come and stay at the gym has meant the world to me. So thank you. Ebony, you are an absolute inspiration. Thank you for being here for 4 years, and I hope that you're around for many, many
You're not
more.
kicking me out yet.
No, actually, I'm going to joke.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, sweetheart.
At our 2023 PTM Awards night, Ebony announced our 2023 All-Star Award winner, Hannah.